so that we truly come out together being one, knowing, Lord, that in everything good there's sometimes bad, and in everything bad there's sometimes good. But together we can accomplish much. So we thank you and we praise you. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll have the approval of the minutes. Oh, roll call.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Here.
Ms. Abchar?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have the approval of the minutes of previous meeting. So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes, I'm sorry, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion, and to postpone item number 10 until July. Make a motion for the next.
I guess one at a time, okay,
I made my motion.
You can do the postpone and remove as part of the same motion. The add has to be a separate motion.
Okay, so then my motion is to postpone item number 10 until July and to remove item number 12.
Second.
Okay, is there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Okay, please vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I'm gonna need a motion to, add comments by the mayor
So
for
moved.
1A and put, 1 as 1B.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to add, 1A, comments by the mayor, and 1B, recognize, Dan Self for retirement.
No,
Oh, no.
presentation of the local fire.
Presentation by the local fire union.
Okay, right. I'll need a second.
Second.
Okay, anybody from the public wanna talk about that? Okay,
Roll call vote.
roll call vote.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Okay, now we will vote on the agenda as amended. Do I have a second and a third?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, Marty did. All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on? Let's vote, roll call, or just everybody?
Ms. Ellender?
Here,
Mr.
yeah.
Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
All right, item number 1A, comments by the mayor.
Good evening, everyone. Dan Self, where you?
Yes.
Where you at? Come sit. Chief Dan Self is, after 25 years of service, is retiring on July 1st. We just want to recognize him for all the great work he's done for the last 25 years and the wonderful job he's done as chief. He's really supported and represented his department very well for the last 25 years and has always been there for his employees as well as working with administration and doing things for the fire department. So we're very pleased that he's retiring in good health and that he's on to other things. He will be relocating possibly to Colorado. Call us whenever it's about January, see how you all like it. But we'd like to present him with this plaque of appreciation for 25 years of service and say thank you very much for his
What's your address in Colorado?
Item 1B is a presentation by local fire union 36765
Mr.
moved.
White.
Okay, Ms. White.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving us the floor. Especially thank Mr. Neesat for assisting us, in getting in front of you. I'm District Chief Trig White. Most of you know me. I've been with the department 28 years this October. Items I'm going to go over with you for a change tomorrow would likely not affect me at all. I am looking at leaving early within the next 4 to 14 months. However, I've made a career here and I care deeply for the men and women of the fire department and the future of the department as a whole. The union has asked me to talk to you today with what we are facing presently, and if we don't make some changes quick, what the future of the department holds. If you look at the graph I provided you in your folder, it shows the history of the department's retention of personnel. We have reached a stage where we are losing people at alarming numbers and we can't replace them fast enough. Our recruiting numbers are horrible. When I applied for this job in 1995, we had 92 candidates apply and run the physical agility test for 6 jobs. We ran an agility test Saturday, May 27th, and had 4 people participate for 11 jobs. We typically have a 25 to 30% fail ratio after the agility, whether it be physical issues, can't pass a background check, or can't pass the academy. To hire new candidates from the beginning to the end is a 9-month to 1-year process. Remember this, by the time those 3 or 4 candidates make it online, we will have lost at least that many people. That's where the trends have gone if you look at the data I've provided. We currently have a fire chief leaving early by 8 years on July 1st, an assistant chief considering leaving early by 8 years, myself leaving early 4 to 5 years. 3 mid-level guys are actively testing and interviewing currently for another job, and several others just look for the right opportunity to jump ship. At any given time, 6 people can stand up and walk out. At current, we have no training officer, and we need a second fire prevention officer. This is a catch-22. We either promote from within. At present, we have no qualified personnel that are interested, which takes more people off the line, or we try to find people outside the department with that kind of experience willing to come work here with what we are offering. We have had no luck so far. The guys online that are qualified pretty much take a pay cut because of the loss of holiday pay and overtime. In the past 6 years, we've gone from manning 6 fire apparatus down to barely manning 4 with minimum staff on each, which is equal to what we ran in 1999. We are not far from falling to manning 3 trucks. We have gone from 3 stations to 2 stations. As you know, we have no current fire station in North Sulphur. As a district chief, I need a minimum of 3 trucks on a fire scene. And usually I must call for help from a neighboring department to have enough men to initiate an offensive attack or rescue. That leaves us 1 truck for the rest of the city with minimum staffing on all trucks. We just invested what I would estimate with equipment about $1.2 million on a new aerial apparatus to get us back to 2 aerials and 5 apparatus for the city. However, for the foreseeable future, we are browning out SF-42, the older aerial, because we don't have the manpower to run both. Some of the manpower issues are as follows. Starting pay has not kept up with inflation. Benefits are not what they used to be. We stopped hiring family. We cut EMT pay. Loss of paid insurance after retirement. Loss of overtime pay time and a half due to FLSA. Starting pay must be raised. We have not kept up with inflation. The department has not had a substantial pay raise since 2007. The city has given us our mandated 2% longevity adjustments. However, this is factored into our pay from day 1. Most years, as a matter of fact, all but 2 that I can remember, the city has given us a cost of living adjustment, or a COLA. However, it's a bit misleading how they give it to us. We used to get the COLA on our entire pay, just like our longevity is required to be figured, and we no longer do. Our pay is broken down as follows: base rate, longevity, 2% a year, and our state pay. We receive a state supplement pay from the state for $600 a month currently. The state requires that any percentage pay raise be computed on base pay, longevity, and state pay. This is how the COLAs were figured for years. Sometime back in the last administration, they figured out they would change some verbiage and give us a base pay raise, and only figure it on our base. 1/3 of my salary is longevity pay. So the 3% base increase you as a board approved this coming budget, in reality works out to a 1.8% raise for me. Last year, the 2% pay raise you approved was a 0.8% pay raise for me. And in the packet, I did a breakdown of my pay to show y'all that. Longevity is just the way our salary is broke up. It's not extra like the administration looks at it. It's not reasonable to think a person with my qualification is going to work for $54K a year base pay after 28 years. Our COLAs need to be calculated fully. This is part of the reason we have not kept up with inflation. The administration does not mind figuring the longevity and state pay when they are advertising our starting pay for new hires after a year of employment. When I started here, I came for the benefits. As a matter of fact, I took a 5K pay cut to come here for the benefits. The benefits are not what they used to be. We used to have very affordable insurance with low deductible. You were guaranteed paid insurance from the city when you retired, state fire retirement, and vacation. The main issue here is our insurance. Our insurance is not bad if you are single, or like me, your wife has a better insurance at her place of employment. The issue is members with families. It costs a person married with one child $433 a month, which is hard enough, but then he is strapped with a family deductible of $9,000 a year and a max out-of-pocket deductible of $12,000 a year. The city does deposit $208 per month into an HSA account per month for medical use only. Let me break it down, and I have this in y'all's packet as well. An annual starting firefighter's pay is $35,476. His insurance annually premiums is $5,220. His retirement contributions are $3,547. State federal tax roughly $48,0764. That leaves him a take home of $21,901 a year, which breaks down to about $414 a week. So his premiums for his family insurance is 24% of his take home pay. Then, if something major happens and he has a major family medical emergency, which doesn't take much these days, I just had a surgery and it was $157,000 before insurance. It will require 55% of his remaining take home pay for him to meet his out-of-pocket expenses. As you can see, this is not very inviting for someone looking to start a new career. The second factor is the city has taken away the benefit of paid insurance after retirement if you were hired after July 1st, 2015. This has hurt us twofold. The provision alone was a big reason I came to the city from a higher paying job. Also, this is how we used to get experienced people from other fire departments like Lake Charles when we needed people. Since this was implemented, I don't believe we have hired one person from another department. We've lost several to other departments, however. It is not lost on us how much the city pays on insurance and retirement for the firefighters. However, the fact remains we can't put people in these jobs. The firefighters pay a higher percentage in their portion of the retirement than any other department. On the insurance, we must start thinking out of the box. We have suggested in the past trying to pull into a larger group like the parish to help our rates. We were told that's a possibility, but the city doesn't want to lose control of the insurance. I don't know the pros and cons of that. It's not my department. Nobody's ever offered to share it with me, but I know we have lost several people at other smaller departments because of much better parish insurance. People come to public sector jobs for the benefits and stability, knowing they're going to take cut and pay from private sector. What they don't want to do is come work for low pay and average so-so benefits. Another change in the administrative rule is that we no longer hire family. I know this is a thing you see in private sector a lot, but hiring family in public sector, especially police, fire, and even the city, is a long tradition. Let me just give you this example. If the rule had been in place in the past years, your current fire chief, assistant fire chief, one district chief, and 3 captains would not have jobs at the Sulphur Fire Department. In a time when we can't recruit, this is killing us. The administration cites discipline concerns. I can't speak for other departments, but in my 28 years, we have never had an issue. The fire department is compartmentalized enough between the shifts and has a strict chain of command. We never work family members together unless a day of overtime or natural disaster situation. The next item really cut me deep. I have served as an EMT for this city all my 28 years. Most of the department is an EMR level, which is a basic first aid. At current, I believe we have 3 EMTs on the department. Besides having more knowledge on scene when needed, these EMTs assist a lot in mandated training for the rest of the department. Sign off on things we need like oxygen refills, etc. For 28 years, I was paid a whopping $75 a month. This is a license I must keep up every 2 years, extra training and expense. Just this year, we were informed the department is going to start running initial call out for medical calls to better serve the community. Earlier this year, the city was audited on our pay, and it was discovered that the city had not figured our EMT pay when figuring our overtime. I got a check for approximately $75 before deductions for 2 years back pay to cover that. Another EMT that does work a lot of overtime had one for approximately $350 before deductions for 2 years back pay. So after that, the city decided they would no longer pay EMTs, but would pay for their recertification. This in a time when most cities are begging and paying their people to become EMTs. This in a time when we can't keep or hire people. And this in a time when we are starting to run medical calls to better serve the community. The comment was made before to me that the administration didn't like that they had to pay overtime for EMT pay instead of the $75 flat stipend they implemented in 1995. I mean, the people are working overtime for you, shouldn't they get paid for it? Another option would be to hire enough people so we didn't have so much overtime, but as I said earlier, we can't seem to do that either. It just seemed more of a because we can move than the money. With the amount of overtime that we are paying now, this EMT overtime is a small fraction. One of the last items that has really been in everyone's crawl for the time they started it is FLSA. Now let me start by saying the city is doing what the federal government allows. However, there are many departments in our cities that don't deduct FLSA on vacation time as a benefit. This is a complicated subject. As a matter of fact, I went to a 3-day conference on this myself just to better understand it. I'm gonna try to break it down in layman's terms. In the old days, if we worked overtime outside of our shift, we were paid time and a half pay for those hours. End of story. It did not matter if you were out sick, vacation, funeral leave, etc. During that pay period, if you worked a day on another shift, you were paid time and a half for that day. Nowadays, the city follows FLSA. Our 2 weeks pay period is figured on 106 hours. Just like a normal 40-hour week for most would be 80 hours, an 80-hour pay period, we must work 106 hours a pay period before we're paid time and a half. So FSLA says if you're off any of that pay period for vacation, sick leave, funeral, etc., benefit hours, you must make those hours up at straight time to get to the 106 hours before any time and a half rate is required. Our stance has been we understand the sick time. You should not be able to call in sick early in the week, then make time and a half on an extra day. However, our vacation is an earned benefit and we should not be punished for taking it. This is a big contention for the firemen and it hurts us in a lot of ways. We have so much overtime now that we depend on because we are so short, currently 11. There are a core group of guys that call and take the overtime. Others won't, and this is a big reason. I'm one of them. We don't have a lot of district chief overtime, but there are opportunities that I will not take because I refuse to work for straight time on my days off. The big problem comes when no one takes the overtime and we must hold someone over, forcing them to work against their will and pay them straight time. At some point we have come close, we will not be able to hold enough guys over due to federal labor laws how long someone can be forced to stay on duty. And we must bring out another truck for the day. Keep in mind, a lot of us work 2 jobs to divide. It's hard getting firefighters to take overtime because their hourly straight pay rate is approximately $16 an hour. Any job they are working besides fire department is gonna pay more than that. Currently, to be able to fill these positions without having to hold over too many people, we allow any rank to work down to firefighter overtime. So we pay a district chief $1,230 for the day, or a captain $850 for the day, instead of paying a firefighter time and a half at $581 a day. At current policy, he would make $387.31 straight time. I own a business outside of here, and I'd rather pay $194 extra dollars to my firefighter than $269 to a captain or $649 to a district chief. I just had 2 captains work down this past Saturday. I have one working down today, and I have one working down Thursday. Now you tell me the benefits don't work both ways. On top of that, I think the hidden benefit would be it would curb the sick leave down, cutting some of the overtime altogether. We have gone to the administration and asked for this multiple times. They refuse unless we make concessions on our vacation time, which is a long story and for another day. But as you can see, we're not looking for any more concessions. Recently, it's been said law won't allow them to not calculate our vacation time. I have to say I don't trust that on its face. The conference I went to had over 200 representatives from different fire departments and cities, and we figured out about half do not dock time for earned vacation. We even offered this up one time to give the guys more money without actually calling it a raise and not being a huge number. In closing, I'm not here to beat up anyone. I'm here in front of this board because we have had many meetings with the administration over the last 5 or 6 years covering everything we have discussed today, and nothing has changed. We've been told that they would do things, and they always come back and say we can't, or they won't, or some other excuse. The bottom line is we are not here to threaten, cry wolf, blame anyone, but mark my word, the train is running off the track, and we don't want anyone to say they did not know. Everything around here seems to be reactive instead of proactive, and I'm here to tell you that it's time to react. According to the published budget this year, 2022-2023 adopted budget was $7,639,321. The actual budget ending up at $6,450,454. The 2023-2024 proposed budget was cut by $500,000 to $7,130,759. Seems to me that would be a good place to start looking at money for pay raises. Nothing else matters except the fact that we can't keep or hire people. All the rest is noise. It doesn't matter what others make or don't make. It does not matter that we don't have the money. All that matters is we can't put people in those seats, and we cannot provide the same fire service we have provided for so long to the citizens of Sulphur. We've been told we need to better our recruiting. I agree. I told the assistant chief a few months ago we need to look at new ways to recruit and put some money in the budget to do so. However, it's extremely hard to recruit with the current benefits and pay. We know we cannot keep up with the industry and private sector, but the gap has gotten way too far apart. At one time, most firefighters in the area wanted to work for Sulphur. Our city was known for the best fire department in the area. We are not there anymore, not even close. We have small combo departments that are more appealing to people. I'm asking you to please take this info to heart. For our department and your constituents, something must change, and it can't wait. Thank you for your time. I'm glad to answer any questions or make myself available at your convenience.
I have a question. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So y'all work shift work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in shift work, I'm familiar with the term called Canadian time, where they work so many days, so many nights a month. That's, I think, most of the industry, or some of the industries anyway. Explain to me, y'all, cause I don't know. I'm assuming you're on a 24-hour shift at some time, because I
Wait.
know there's sleep, y'all have,
It's
I'm
kinda,
gonna say housing accommodations for lack of a better term.
it's kinda confusing, but the short and skinny of it is we start on a Wednesday. We work 24 on, 24 off for the first week, except Friday, we do a 12-hour split. The second week, we work the opposite, 24 on, 24 off, and then the third week, we're off for 7 days. It's kinda like a Canadian shift, except we work 24, so we don't work a day-night type thing, like the police are closer to.
Okay. And while this is a lot of good information, it's hard to discern all of this just being given this. And I don't mean that ugly, but I wasn't prepared for this type of discussion, I didn't know that this is what
Yeah, and that's
y'all's
why,
presentation was.
that's why I provided y'all with the information.
Sure,
I know
that's
you
fine.
can't look it
And-
over all right
no,
now, but
we will.
if y'all need to, at any time, I'll make myself available for any of it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
It has always been the goal of this administration to provide our employees with a fair and competitive compensation package. Using processes such as salary surveys and recommendations of HR directors and municipalities in our region and like-sized cities across the state, we have been able to develop a strong compensation benefit package for our hardworking employees. At the same time, we must take into consideration all laws, rules, and regulations of the U.S. Department of Labor, state, and local civil service boards. Just as importantly, we have a fiscal responsibility to the taxpaying citizens of Sulphur to ensure that their hard-earned tax dollars are being expended efficiently and effectively. Finally, we place a great value on our employees and will continue to work with our departments to ensure they are justly compensated.
Thank you. Item number,
Can I say one thing? I don't want it to be unsaid, we do appreciate your service. We know that, I don't know how many fires you fight, but one fire could be that one fire. So we appreciate your service, just as we appreciate our police service, the marshal service, and all of the entities that make up this city. So, thank you for your service.
item number 2. Rule of show cause for the condition of the following addresses: to condemn building or structure located at 1110 Mildred Street in accordance with Article 9, Section 5 through 286, 5286 through 5296. It's in my district. I'll need a motion in a second. Shelley, do you need to tell us anything?
I don't know if anybody's here for it.
Is anyone here for 1110 Mildred? I rode by there today, but because the numbers are all crazy on that street, it's not, and I didn't go far enough down to see it. But that's it right there. I think the back, I think it's, well, anyway.
We sent it certified and regular mail. Both letters were returned to us. No one has accepted anything. So no communication.
All right, hey Kate, this one, do I need to ask the public? Okay, does anyone wanna speak on this issue? Okay, please vote. Do we,
Ms. Ellender?
yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 3, thank you, Shelley. Item 3 is an extension for temporary housing and recreational vehicles due to damage caused by Hurricane Laura for the following addresses. A, to extend temporary housing and a recreational vehicle located at 906 Taylor Street in accordance with ordinance 9/1693 MC Series. Mr. Nezat.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe Mr. Welch is here.
I am.
He is the owner of the property. If you can give us an update.
Alright, so, I guess backstory of it is, we were given some money from the insurance company. We went forward with, demo of the house. That company decided that it was too hard to fight with our insurance company and abandoned it. So at that point, we had to find someone to try to put the house back together with limited funds, right? We found a contractor. On top of what the insurance paid me, I came up with $30,000 of my own, and that was stolen. So contractor fraud was done to us. The same contractor has been arrested at this point 4 times in this parish, have done it to other people. We are having to sue the insurance company. That mitigation is, I believe, at the end of this month or beginning of next, I'm not 100% sure if it's soon. And it should be hopefully the final one. They have prolonged it as much as they could. We were supposed to do this in December of last year. The insurance company changed law firms, thus giving them like 60 or 90 days to come up to speed with the case, and then file for the mitigation, which then takes another 2 or 3 months for you to get in line with everybody else. So that's where we're at the current moment. All I use the house for, the RV for, is to shower and cook. That's it. We don't sleep in it. That's the only access of it. I try to keep it as clean as possible. If you go by the property, short of a white pipe going to the backside of my house, you would not even know somebody was in it. It would look as though I am storing the RV for recreational purposes. And that's up to date.
Arlene, do we get a motion and a second on this? Yeah, we need a motion and a second on A. Did you
I
make a
apologize,
motion?
Madam Chair, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I jumped right into it. Motion, you said you're going to court in July, correct?
It's either end of this month of June or the beginning of July. I can't remember 100%. My wife does all the emailing, sorry.
I make a motion to, grant a 6-month extension, in light that, he is still fighting with his insurance company. And, you know, as shown, has appeared, today to let us know.
Second.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this? Okay, please vote.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes. Okay, B is to extend temporary housing in a recreational vehicle located at 706 Live Oak Street in accordance with number 1693 MC Series. Land use recommended granting 6 months at their May meeting.
Hi, Suzanne Neighbor, 706 Live Oak Street.
Right. Okay, so, I'll need a motion.
I make a motion to, grant the 6 months.
Second.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak besides Suzanne? Okay. Please vote.
Ms.
No.
Ellender?
Anyone from the public, I'm sorry. Okay, now, please vote.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, number 4 is a public hearing on ordinance granting a rezone to ALK property, 2616 Lena Street, from residential to commercial to allow for expansion of current business located at 317 Patton Street. A motion was not made at the May meeting, and, so we had to place it back on the agenda, ordinance 7523. It's in Mr. Nezat's district. You want me to go ahead with this?
Yes.
Okay. A little bit of,
Ms. Ellender, I need a motion and second.
okay,
moved.
please.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second on this. Mr. Travis, do you wanna say something?
I'd like to.
Okay,
During the last meeting, the main concerns I was hearing from y'all, was regarding the neighborhood feeling like this is commercial coming into a residential area. Austin, can you pull up the zoning map that you had shown a second ago? That one. So, the blue is business, the purple is commercial, yellow being, residential. The blue to the north, actually all the blue right in the middle, other than right on the corner of, Ruth Street and Patton, that is 2 hotels, which if they were zoned in this day, that would be purple, that'd be commercial. Same thing with everything on the other side of Ruth Street. Everything going to the west is commercial. To the south of it is commercial. From what I understand, the old Pizza Hut building and the Waffle House are zoned correctly, being a business. But along with us, the Chemical and the Radiator Shop, the majority of that blue in that picture would currently be zoned commercial. So it's already there. This isn't coming into a neighborhood. It's there. It's been there for many years. That zoning classification was replaced with the new standard in 2007. So that shows how long that's been there. Another thing is, I was hoping we could pull up the land use map. Land use map that was adopted in 2011 shows that from I-10 going south to Patton Street, from Allen Street going west to basically West Cal Event Center, is zoned, or is future land use approved for commercial corridor. That's what we're trying to do. That's what the majority of that area already is. And that land use map, to my understanding, is a guidance for the council to make these decisions with.
You wanna, we got some other people who wanna comment, so you can sit down, and if we need
That's fine.
a question, we'll call you back up.
Thank you.
All right, number, 4. Who wants to go first, Mark or Laura? Link, Rhonda, I'm sorry, you're
Ron-
first.
Laura, yeah, that's okay. I get called many things. It's
Okay.
fine. I answer them all. Rhonda Duhon, reside at 2602 Allen Street. So here's the thing. Whatever all this colorful map means, basically, as you continue to move business or commercial property farther into our neighborhoods, which of course Lena Street is behind us, the property, the 2616 is the south east of my property, or Mark and I's property. And who's to say in the future that it doesn't go to the home next to it, and then all that property behind it will go commercial or business, again, however you choose to define it as well. This is where we live, this is where we relax, this is where we've raised our families. We've been there since 1999, August of 1999. It's time somehow we figure out commercial needs to be in its own commercial area, not continue to squeeze us out. Because I will tell you, the property at the end of Lena Street, the grass is about 4 feet high. Once it gets mowed, excuse me, we do it rats, not mice, rats. And it's all coming from this. When is it gonna stop? I was going into town the other day and I noticed on our City of Sulphur sign, it says actually right here, faith, family, and community. Stop squeezing the families out. This is where we live. I travel a lot for work. When I go home, I want to rest. And when I have to go home and deal with the mental anguish, the fatigue, the stress of all of this, it's ridiculous. We need to each stay in our own lane. So, Madam Chair, City Councilman, Mr. Mayor, business or commercial needs to be in its own spot. Where we live, where I've been since 1999, is where we live. We're not there to make money. So, we need to uphold our motto here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Duhon?
I was coming up here, Mark Duhon, 2602 Allen Street. I was coming up here to see, it's just a formality of going through the motions, because this was voted down at the last meeting. We put our faith in city council on their decisions, and their decision was to vote it down. A technicality has kept that from happening. Part of what's on that map there, it's not residential. Those hotels and stuff did not move into a residential area. Kimco is trying to move into a residential area. We zone residential and we're there for a reason. We went through all this stuff last time. It was stressful. We had lots of people from our neighborhood up here disagreeing with it, and it was voted down. And it would be a travesty that the vote's not upheld. And it would be really disappointing. Thank you.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Name's Chris Higginbottom, 2510 Allen Street. Like the Duhons here, of course, I live down the road from Kim Cool. My comments are primarily to serve as a reminder that the original votes were, if memory serves, 3-2 against. That needs to be upheld. And the truth is, families need to come first with this over a business. Particularly families who, if ultimately they are forced out of that neighborhood or their quality of life declines, whatever, they will ultimately be forced into far more expensive housing over what they currently live in. That includes myself and my family. I guess best way to put it, the vote needs to stay like it was. It does not need to change. The motion needs to be made. And, I mean, if not, I hate to see this go to litigation if ultimately, it gets to the point where everybody's in dispute. I hate to see the courts have to get involved. And, well, that's it.
Madam Chair, no, I've heard this about we didn't uphold the vote, but I clearly remember that night the passion of the neighborhood, and there were 2 items on the agenda. I don't remember the numbers now, but there were 2 items on the agenda. And I understand when people wanted to get up, homeowners wanted to get up and speak about it. They wanted to speak about both items. They didn't want to take one item and then let's come to the second item, because I understand you're on your roll, you want to say your thing. But that's where the confusion really happened, and that's why there wasn't 2 votes. It became very confusing. And I will tell you, in all due respect to everyone, we're all part of that, because everybody wanted their time to speak. But had it stayed separate for discussion, I don't think you would probably be back here tonight.
I can see that.
But, okay, I'm not asking for any change, I don't mean that ugly, but let me finish this, okay?
But it
no, let me
was
finish.
separate.
Let me finish and then you can talk, okay? So, what I'd like to say, I left here that night really saddened by the whole affair, because I thought it needs to be a win-win. And I think about, sometimes, the old saying, you pick your poison, and I hear what you're saying, I truly hear what you're saying about, commercial and business needs to be in their own places. But let me ask you something, how, was Kim Cool around, Kim's Radio around in 1999 when you moved out there? They were there, I know when you moved there,
No.
Mr. Higginbotham, you're on a mission that night,
No.
our last meeting.
Yeah,
No.
my biggest thing is Bill Boyd.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I understand, that's okay. And I know that, one of the solutions said that night was to have them to move. Well, that's not that easy. And then what are you gonna get? What are you gonna get in those buildings there? What kind of home is gonna be built in those buildings should they decide to move out? Because they can't pick the buildings up and move them with them. So what you're gonna get is just what you're talked about tonight, about, rats and all kind of other critters. And what about people deciding, I'm just gonna make that my home without permission to make it my home? And you're gonna get a whole slew of stuff. And then yet, I'm confused over the fact that you said, I think it was Miss Jones maybe, Miss Guillory said that when there was an issue, with a problem, I think it was with filling some of the tanks at night, that there was an immediate response. So you have someone that responds to you. What could you get if they move out and somebody else moves in there? Pick your poison. I mean, I look at it, something's gonna happen one way or the other. So I just really felt strongly that I wanted to say these things to you, not to be ugly, but to look at the whole picture.
Okay. First of all,
Just before you do it, we're not gonna go toe to toe, I mean, we're not gonna say something, you
but I
come back
need
and
to-
respond.
this-
So, make it quick, and then
Okay.
I'll let you do that.
you're setting a precedence of letting the commercial come into a residential neighborhood. They have their spot in their place. Okay, there was 2 discussions on both one on Leland, one on Allen Street. There was 2. Christopher and, Miss,
Jones, Cynthia
Jones
Jones.
spoke on that one. There was 2 different separate items. Voted no, down. The technicality of not getting it motion in second kept it from passing. We're trying to stop encroachment. You let one in, then it moves to the next and on and on.
Thank you.
What's wrong?
So, a few things that I forgot to say last meeting is that was voted 4-1 in favor of the rezone by the, land use. Also, I know what y'all are saying to us, but we have the prerogative that we can change our minds on votes. Okay, so, I mean, I know what you're saying, that happened, there was no motion, there was no second. So we're doing this the right way, but if it turns out the other way, we have the, right to change our vote. Mr. Morberger, I'd like you to go one more time up to the podium, and I'd like you to tell me the story about the girl.
Oh, so, kind of what you were saying about if we were to move out, what would happen with this building. So since I've been in charge of operations there, we've had several dealings working with local law enforcement. The one that really comes to mind was, this was probably back in, what, 13?
No,
Probably 2013.
no, it's probably 2017.
2017. One of my employees, ex-law enforcement, a real good friend of mine growing up, he calls me one night about 9 or 10 at night. Said he passed by, he was passing by, I just hired him. He wanted to show his wife where he was gonna be working. And they passed by in our old shop, the one on the corner of Patton and Lena, there's a south-facing walk-through door. He said he passed through and he saw it was open. So I live 7 minutes away. I said, well, just sit there, don't go in. I'll pull up and we'll check it out. I didn't want to bother law enforcement if somebody forgot to shut a door. So he stayed at that door. I went around to the normal walk-through door where our light switches are. Told him, I said, just hang out here. If somebody comes out, yeah. So I opened the door, turn the lights on, nothing's out of place, nobody's there. I'll make my way through the shop. He comes in, we didn't see anybody. So we go and shut the door. I have him sit outside that door in case somebody comes out once we turn the lights off. Turn the lights off, shut the doors, and by the time I come back around, a young lady had come through that door, and she was clearly shooken up. She said she thought that we were a guy that was chasing her. The story was, so we called Sulphur PD, they came, they handled it, and the story was, she was dropped off a day or two prior to the Red Roof Inn by her brother from Houston. They were from Houston. And before she knew it, he was gone and she was left with a male. Come to find out, she was basically being sold into sex slave. She spent a full day in that hotel room before she was able to get out of there. When she got out of there, her story was she threw all her belongings. It was an old house on the side of Pizza Hut that's now torn down. Threw her bags under there and tried to find a place to hide out. Our door evidently did get left open. It was cracked open. She said she went in, didn't touch anything, and she was hiding behind a pallet with a hammer in case it came in. So Sulphur PD went, they recovered her bag. That part was right. Went and looked by the pallet. There was one of our hammers sitting there. So everything checked out. They took her in, got her some help. That was the last I've known of that. One of the other things is the Lena Street address that we're talking about tonight. Prior to me buying it, it was a rental house. There was a lot of questionable people in and out of there. We would see drug deals go down broad daylight. They'd walk up to the window, stuff would get passed through a crack in the window, and they'd go. Several calls, Sulphur PD. It'd go away for a little while, it'd come back and forth. And finally, whenever it was available to buy it, I bought it as quick as I could. I overpaid for it, but we were having issues with that going on while we're trying to work. I didn't want that around us. My kids, they sometimes spend the summers up there with us. I didn't want that around there. So that got cleaned up. There's been several times when Sulphur PD has come to us. They know we have security cameras along the front of the building, both internal and external to the building, on both buildings. And if something happens, they'll ask if they can see our footage. A month or two ago, we had somebody snooping around the radiator shop, went in around the back. I get text notifications all hours of the night of any activity in the area. They actually kicked in the back door, and by that time the alarm system had picked it up, and I got a notification. They first call the shop, see if anybody's there. So I'm thinking the phone system ringing at night scared them off. So PD comes, show them the video. They went down to the one of the local gas stations where there were several people hanging out on bikes, picked them up, positive ID off the video. So we've done a lot to clean the area up. and we try and be a good neighbor. We don't make noise. We try to keep our noise to a minimum. Anytime there's a complaint, we address it right away. Even before I was the owner, I always strive to do that. And
One more
we'll
question,
continue to.
when did Kim Cool originate?
Kim Cool was incorporated in 1982.
Alright, thank you. Alright, is there any other questions?
I'd like to speak, if I can.
Anyone else?
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you. My name is Maverick Gregg. I've been with Kim Cool for almost 10 years now. And in the time that I've been there, I have started a family and moved from Benton to Sulphur. I've continued to work there and grow within the company. I'm now the shop manager, so I oversee a lot of the day-to-day operations on the floor. One thing that our company does particularly well is entry-level industry jobs, which is difficult for a lot of people to get into. We take people of all age, creed, background, and experience, and we teach them skills in welding, CNC programming, even carpentry, lots of things like that. And they built up, and we've had a lot of people come through and leave and go on to bigger and better jobs, and then some people, they've stayed. All of the people that are in power at Kim Cool or have higher up positions, they have started there in lower positions and climbed through there. We promote within, and so we've all grown together, and it's like a family up there of everybody, and we work together. It's it's our own little habitat. As this company has thrived, we all have thrived as well. We've implemented new benefits, better insurance, 401k that the company matches very handsomely on. Things like that have definitely improved the quality of life for everybody involved. That makes for a much better future for us. This expansion will allow us to have more employees and grow our business considerably more. We'll be able to take in more young men and women that are in need of skills and put them out there with the necessary skills, or even grow and they could stay with us. And the sky's the limit there whenever you continue to grow like that. All those benefits have led to better retention time. We went from a very high turnaround rate into, in the last couple of years, we maintain a really good employee policy. We have almost everybody there has been there for a year or longer. The company's always gone above and beyond for the people that work there. When the hurricane happened, we were compensated for time that we were out of work, even when we didn't have any work to do because there was no power, the infrastructure was down. When COVID happened, we were compensated anytime anybody got sick and had to take off, we were compensated well for that. And that went beyond our own PTO time that we already had. The company's constantly looking for new ways to benefit the community, including supporting other local businesses, supporting the local museums, or, dealing with fundraisers and charity and like that. We're actually in talks recently about doing some things with the Rotary Club, some were their fundraisers. Stagnating this company will just lead to less to invest within the community and even less to invest within the employees that we have and the employees that we would like to have. That's all I really have.
Is there anyone else who wants to? Okay, anyone from the public that hasn't spoken? Okay, let's vote.
Mr. Nazat?
No.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
No.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 5 on the agenda is a public hearing on ordinance amending resolution number 2102 MC Series, which authorized the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury for wastewater treatment services for Mossville area sewerage district number 8, ordinance 7623, Mayor Danahay.
So moved.
Second.
It's annual agreement.
It's an annual, yes. Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Please vote.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Okay, item number 6 is a public hearing on ordinance amending Article 4, Part 2, Section 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sulphur, signs, ordinance 7723. Mayor Danahay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this amendment will make, you wanna say what it does?
Go ahead.
So this amendment is for an exception on on-premises signs to not exceed a height of 50 feet on Davis Parkway, City Service Highway, and Bruce Street. The interstate corridors will, remain at 60 feet.
Okay, is there,
And to put a little reference on this, I went and got a measurement of the McDonald's sign on Bruce Street, and that is 50 feet as it currently sits, and the Burger King sign is 60 feet, which is permitted within the interstate corridor.
I think we have just one.
And the signage on city service as well, those fast foods are at.
Yes, ma'am. Within the interstate corridor, yes, ma'am.
When we discussed Bruce Street, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, I started talking. South of the interstate on Bruce Street, we turn to 27 south, how far is it?
To the city line.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Broussard, I am gonna write your name on this, because you didn't.
I'm so sorry.
But it's you, I know, so you wanna go with
Thank
it?
you.
And you had a comment, you had comments on this one? The sign? Okay.
Got my notes, I'm just gonna talk off the top of my head and hope I hit most of them. I do have a question. The, ordinance originally has 35 feet, correct, Austin?
Yes.
When was that ordinance set into place?
Upon original adoption in 2003, I believe.
2003. And the McDonald's and the Burger King signs came after that ordinance, or they were grandfathered in?
I believe the McDonald's was there prior to the.
Burger King too?
Yeah, Burger King too.
Okay, so everything was grandfathered in, so are there structural reasons why y'all had set, or, I know you weren't here. Do you know any background, why was it set at 35 and not more?
No, I do not have any background reasoning.
I would think probably visionary problems, we
Well,
weren't
the-
visionary, you know, I mean, it was like, I wasn't, you know, but,
Probably took standards from somewhere else and adopted them.
you know, we just probably.
Well, the ordinance states that, I don't remember the exact words, but it states, that, for aesthetics, basically, is what it was saying. But I thought maybe there was more behind it, because I don't know if, FEMA has this height for our houses, and we have to go a foot above that, and so I was wondering if there's some sort of structural, data that you have for the height of signs.
Typically you put a sign higher when you wanna be able to see it further.
No, I just meant structurally with the wind and the hurricanes. We don't have any studies on that.
Well, I would think that they have guidelines for how it's supposed to be done, and there were some on the bridge that weren't very high at all, that just bent right over. And then there were some that were tall like that, but nothing happened to them, so I mean, I
Those on
can't
the bridge
see
were,
us.
if I remember looking at the structure correctly, they were made to snap down. It's a safety,
Oh,
it's a
okay,
safety.
sorry. I didn't
It's a
study
safety.
but,
So,
This does not change any applicable building codes, fire marshal regulations, any of that would still be in effect, this would just be the height.
okay,
so the height is not gonna cause any problems as far as the wind and the hurricane, probably.
They'll still be designed to whatever, wind rating is required.
The wind
within
rating will be
zone.
met, okay. That was one of my questions. The other one is, I know that all this got started because of Whataburger gonna move in, and they requested a 50-foot sign, and so you all had discussed a waiver and then decided, well, we're not gonna pick and choose, it's gonna make it for everybody. But the Whataburger representative came, I don't remember if it was this meeting or a land use meeting, and he specifically said, the company's going to build here, no matter what height that y'all want this sign. So it was not important to Whataburger. So I went to the next land use meeting and heard, Troy, I mean, it was a good opinion, but, he said it's good for business. And everybody except for one person, approved changing this ordinance. So it's not gonna help us get this business in, so I'm really not sure why he thinks it's going to help business, but, perhaps you all have some opinions on that, how it's gonna help the business to have higher signs in our city. I look at it as when I envision large signs, I envision the commercial areas in Sulphur that look horrible. So I think aesthetically, you're gonna bring the city down and not improve it, and with no benefit to the city. I don't see a benefit to the city. Businesses aren't staying away because of sign height.
Thank you.
One more thing to say. Yes, the other thing I wanna point out is, changing our ordinances should have a reason. So I hope that before you all vote on this, that you'll tell the public the reasons on why you feel like this ordinance has to be changed. Thank you.
Building on 17 Roberta Drive, I think it's a good idea to change it. All the larger cities have got these signs. When I ran All-Tech inspection, we made a lot of money inspecting those signs because of their height and everything. Anything that we can do to promote more businesses to come into this town, we need to do it. You know, and there was a discussion when the zoning ordinances were passed about the height of those signs. And I remember it very well, and we said it was not gonna be sufficient for a lot of businesses. And now, you know, we've come up to the point where we're fixing what half the people didn't read when they voted on, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion from the public? Any questions, comments? Okay, let's vote.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
No.
And Ms. Hardy?
Yes. Okay, item number 6 is a public hearing on ordinance amending Article 4, Part 2, Section 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sulphur, signs, Ordinance 7723, Mayor Danahay. I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. As I said signs, I'm doing it, okay. Public hearing on, no, I'm wrong. Public hearing on ordinance authorizing Mayor Danahay to sign the LA EMTD maintenance agreement for mowing and litter pickup for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, ordinance 7823.
So moved. Second.
Alright, anyone from the public wish to speak? Please vote.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Number 8 is a public hearing on ordinance entering into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the city of Westlake for salaries for the marshal's office, ordinance 7923, Mayor Danahay.
Miss Melinda, you had asked me a couple questions earlier, kinda caught me off guard.
I'm sorry. Can we get a motion in a second?
Yes.
Oh,
So
motion.
moved.
Second. Ms. Vaughn, you
Yes, and so the marshal's office, we are the paymaster for the marshal's office. And, we pay for salaries for 8, employees. The marshal has requested an additional, deputy. And myself and the mayor have gone to Westlake, we've spoke with the mayor and the finance director over there. And, we are waiting their council to approve to reimburse us $25,000, to help fund this additional, deputy. We
When does
also,
they meet? When does Westlake meet?
they're gonna meet in July. It's not on the agenda.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this? Please vote.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Yes.
Okay, number 9 is an introduction of ordinance declaring certain surplus movable property of the city of Sulphur and providing for the disposal thereof, ordinance 8023, Mayor Danahay.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, do we ask the public on introductions? Okay, anyone want to speak on this? It's a normal thing that we do. Let's vote.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Yes. Ms. Ellender?
Yes. Number 11 is an introduction of ordinance amending ordinance number 1635 MC Series, which authorized a lease agreement between the city of Sulphur and Verizon Wireless on Benoit Lane, ordinance 8223. Need a motion and a second, please?
So move.
Second. Is there any discussion we need on this? No. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this item? Please vote.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Sorry. I was looking at something. Okay, number 13 is a resolution appointing a member to the West Calhoun Board, Port, Harbor, and Terminal District, resolution 2823.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Mr. Trey Case for this position.
Second.
Okay. Number 14, number 13, there is one person who wishes to speak, Ms. Broussard, please.
I don't know much about Mr. Case. I have heard, good things from Ms. Ellender, that, she believes he'll do a good job. He's been on some boards before, and she said she wants, new names, you know, in the mix for everything, that's my words, everything in the city. And I appreciate all that, and I think all that's wonderful, and good recommendations for this man. But when I spoke to, weeks ago, when I spoke to Nick, and he told me there's a Miss Taylor, and she has a background in,
Ms. Broussard, I'd
Yes.
like you not to mention other names.
don't mention other names,
Yes.
okay. Then without other names, and I'm going to just say that, say something knowing that it's probably not gonna happen, cause I just asked you to tell.
Madam Chair, just for get the procedure clear, because this is the only name, the public comment is on this name. If some other member of the council wanted to move to amend it to consider a different name, she could comment on that name at that time, but just
Right.
as they're before the council, that's
Right.
what's.
So there would have to be an amendment for
Right.
another name to come up. So we're just gonna talk about this person.
That's right.
So, can you tell us, I didn't hear any background on the man that pertained to the harbor. So I was just curious if you had any
Okay,
background on that.
so in my, I can look at some of the people on the port board who have no experience with the harbor.
Okay.
When I got appointed to the industrial board and to the zoning board in Sulphur, I had no experience. I'm not thinking that when you're on a board, the board has a financial person on that board, and they have experts on that board who advise, I'm sure. And so, in my opinion, I don't have to have a person who is totally experienced in the harbor or the port. And I've seen some captains that I wouldn't put on the board, you know, who
Sure.
have plenty of
Cause there's other
experience,
qualities
you know.
besides that, yes.
So I don't know why I'm being examined.
No, I just asked,
And I don't-
you're giving more information, I appreciate that, that's what I
All right.
wanted, thank you.
Is there any other comments? Okay, please vote. Any other people from the public? Please vote.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Item number 14 is a resolution in support of the downtown Sulphur Cultural District, resolution 2923, Mayor Danahay.
So move.
Second.
Mayor Danahay.
Yeah, real quick like this, this is a step in the process of the revitalization of downtown Sulphur. The creation of this cultural district, we could qualify for the Main Street program. In doing so, that opens up a lot of avenues for grant monies to be able to help us in that endeavor. So that's what this is the first step in that process. So the vendors and the business owners from that area have met on a couple occasions, and they're looking forward to maybe working towards those ends.
So who's submitting this application?
What happened normally is that the way the monies flow, it flows through a governmental entity into that district is what it does. You have to have that district for the board in place to be able to achieve that.
So this is District 1?
Yes, this will be in District 1, I'm sorry.
And part of it, it looks like part of it could be in District 2 also. Your
Yeah, I'm
district
sorry.
and my district.
It stretches essentially from the Grove all the way to the railroad track,
District 3.
or past the railroad track maybe.
Okay, hold on, Bill.
But y'all, the city's just doing the application.
Yes, we do the application.
What did you say, baby? I'm sorry.
I think Ms. Melinda was asking
Yeah.
who was submitting.
My question was,
Yeah.
who was submitting the application?
Yeah, we submit the application, but the district, like I say, they give a lot of input and recommendations, things like that, what they wanna see within that district. It's very similar like to the Nellie Letcher district in Lake Charles and what's it, Sharpenter district? Is what it is. It's a flow through is what it is.
Hopefully we can get some grants.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of discussion about it. You know, I think there's a lot of things that can be done there. But what I have envisioned is much more, it's gonna take a lot of grant money.
So,
But
question for you, who is the we? Is there a group of people?
yes, in the cultural district, it's vendors and business owners of that district, what it is. And homeowners, just as well.
And who have they've met before?
Yes,
How
they
many
have.
meetings have they had?
They've had a couple meetings that I'm aware of.
And you've been in a part
I've
of
been,
it?
yes, I have.
Has Ms. Melinda?
No.
Ms. Thomas has been in the meetings just as well.
You're not coming?
No,
So you were never notified of this meeting?
that I know.
At the cultural district, they made that notification, you know, we were just invited.
Is there a president
In
meeting?
fact, I went, I didn't say a word.
I don't know that they have, I know Aaron Quinn's got a head.
That's what I do.
Sent out a letter, that looked like a letter, and I emailed you back, said I can't open up what you sent.
Yes, I think that is.
Can we stand up on this?
I'll make sure we send that.
Okay.
I'll make sure I get
Bill?
y'all.
I thought the meeting was over, y'all were having a conversation.
He always says something, Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to know what the boundaries are on this thing that we're trying to.
There's a map.
That's a good question.
And Bill, years ago, we tried to do the historic district down there, and it wouldn't work. We couldn't get any monies from anywhere. And this is, I think, a way, we have to do this so that they can receive grants.
It's about time we did this.
Yes.
You know, but we wanna make sure that we encompass my problem.
Here.
You weren't invited to the meeting?
No, I mean, let me tell you something, all
Not
kinds of
as I-
things happened. You guys didn't know we didn't have a fire station in North Sulphur for a long time till I called.
There you go.
Madam Chair, I'd like to say, being extremely proud to have served on the Sulphur Parks and Recreation Board for as long as I did. 23 years. One of our projects while I was on there was, the acquisition of the property for the Grove. And, that property was going to be used to build, some condominiums, apartments. And so when I heard about that, myself and another one of the board members, we went quickly to the administrator and was able to secure, the direction and start the process rather of acquiring that property. And it was our hope and intent that time, and we worked closely with the city, about that being a focal point, because when people come into the city from the interstate, the way it was positioned and it was strategic planning on the way that fountain is, so it'd be an eye catcher to draw people there and carry them further into the city. So it's taken a long time, but I can tell you there was a group of us that was very intent on making sure that it would be hopefully the beginning of a new future, of recognizing our history, so.
Alright.
I would like to be very much a part of that because I worked on it many years ago.
Alright, do we have a motion and a second, Arlene?
We did.
Okay, if there's no other comments, please vote.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Number 15 is a resolution appointing the official journey for the city of Sulphur, resolution 3023. I need a motion and a second.
And the official journal is?
The American Press.
There's only one left.
Okay, and it's increased in price too.
Do
Okay.
the online?
Yeah, so, is there any discussion from the public? Please vote.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Number 16 is a resolution granting a variance to James Braden, 2111 Trailer Street, to allow for a tenant to live in an RV due to damages caused by Hurricane Laura. Resolution 3123, Nick needs that.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
alright, Mr. Braden.
Mr. Braden's, not available today. He,
Oh.
I believe he said he was gonna attempt to contact everyone. I'm not sure if he did. But he did call and speak to me. I believe the tenant, is here, sir. And I believe you wanna speak.
Not if I don't have.
You don't have to.
I was at the land use meeting.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll just kinda
Give a summary.
summarize it.
Sure.
Mr. Braden is living in there in a trailer, and
Not
Mr.
Mr.
Braden,
Braden.
I'm sorry, Mr. Braden's tenant, just state your name and address.
My name is Michael B. Rock. I live on 2111 Triller Street in Sulphur, Louisiana. During the storm, I lost my home, and I'm living in a FEMA unit on 2111 Triller Street. Now, for me to be able to purchase the unit, I have to get permission from the city of Sulphur to be able to live there for a little while I'm buying the camper. Once I purchase the camper, I'll be able to move the camper away out of the city limits or on another lot. And that is where we're at right now.
Right. Yeah, it's my understanding that you've already got a piece of land that you've
Yeah.
got, right?
And so, do you have a clue how long you think it'll be?
I'm thinking within 6 months, everything should be okay.
Alright,
Okay, then do I have to make a motion to amend to allow for 6 months?
I don't think so, there's nothing there.
Okay,
You
well, I know I
just
made a
say-
motion. I'd like to
Oh, okay.
allow for a 6-month
It
extension.
says 6 months. No,
Okay.
it expires November,
Okay.
so wait,
Okay.
so,
Is there any?
okay, it's 6 months from land use, cause
Right.
land use voted for 6 months.
So it's
So if y'all
like,
want to amend it to December, I just took the wording from land use.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it may come before that, and if that does happen, you know, it would move sooner, correct?
Yes, sir.
We can just stick with the original. I think 5 months would be sufficient, whenever the land use happens.
okay, so you have the date on there, Arlene, what's the date?
November 20th.
Okay,
Thank you,
So,
ma'am.
well, just to be clear, I didn't even think about this, we probably need to amend it to 5 months with November.
Yeah, we
5 months.
and come
Yeah, we
before
can-
us at the council meeting?
in November if you need more time.
Well, the standard has been 6 months.
6 months, but I put November in there
Yeah,
for land use, so I'm not that right.
well, do we need to tidy this
Y'all
up?
can amend it if you want it to be 6 months, or you could do it. and
Yeah,
you can come
yeah,
back
that's
in
good,
November.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, it's Thanksgiving.
right, yeah, we want you to have
That's
to
what I said.
deal with
So
that.
y'all wanna amend it?
Yeah,
Somebody just needs to make a motion and say 6 months.
Okay, so take back your motion.
Okay,
And
I
then
rescind
go
my
back,
motion.
And now go with the motion.
and I will file a motion to grant a 6-month extension.
Second.
Okay, anybody from the public? Please vote.
Mr. Nazat?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 17. Number 17 is a resolution appointing a member to the West Calcasieu Airport Managing Board.
Wait, they're gonna treat that as a vote on the amendment, now we need y'all to vote on
I'm
the whole.
sorry, okay, that's right. So that was the amendment, now I need a motion and a second to vote on the.
Motion.
Second.
Alright, please vote.
Mr. Raisette?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellers?
Number 17 is a resolution appointing member to the West Calcasieu Airport Managing Board, resolution 3223, me.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a nomination to reappoint Mr. Thompson, Theodore Thompson, to this board.
Second. Okay, anyone from,
Yeah, by the way, Mr. Thompson is a retired Air Force, personnel.
And he currently serves on.
He currently serves on.
Bill, do you wanna talk at the podium? Okay, alright.
I wanted to get flat.
Oh. Okay, so, anybody from the public wish to speak, please vote.
Ms. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Abchar?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ellender?
Yes.
Mr. Raisette?
Yes.
Okay, now we open up for the public comment. Is there anyone here who wants to speak? Oh, you have a card up here? I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Let's see.
What item was it?
No, it's just a
Oh,
public comment.
Okay.
Just speak your name.
Amy Felice, 2329 Augustine, and first want to congratulate Chief Self and thank you for your service. And also really was the presentation by District Chief White was really informative as a life of a fire captain. I didn't know a lot of that stuff, so
We still don't know a lot after hearing it.
Yeah.
We gotta go study.
yeah. And one thing I know that you all in administration knows, but I just want the general public to know that they don't respond just to fires. They respond to a lot of medical and really, really traumatic stuff. And I know there's a opioid epidemic, and I don't know if they're seeing a lot of that. I don't hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I also feel like sometimes they might repress some of the things that they see. So I just want the public to know, just like our police officers, they see, they deal with a lot, so.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. I just wondered if there had been any consideration for filming the meetings again.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, go ahead.
Oh, I'll ask the council. Anyone have anything to say?
You will close the public comment section.
Oh, yes, this closes the public comment section on the agenda item. Anyone have anything?
Again, ditto to Dan, you know I had to say something. 25 years, okay, give us 25 more. Thank you, Dan, I've enjoyed working with you, your cell number's gonna stay the same? Oh, I wanna see you after this meeting. Really enjoy the fruits of your labor, I wish you the best, I have family in Colorado, that's why I asked, I think you move into God's other country.
Yeah.
And, again, thank you, for what you've done, in your department, and, you know, it's a tough decision for us, I seem to use that word a lot, tough. I recruit, and I know the need in almost all professions today, and wish we had a blank check. We're gonna take this to heart and study and do our due diligence there. Police officers don't get paid enough, firefighters, teachers don't get paid enough, you know, and most people sign up because of their commitment, not for the dollars, but when you talk benefits and families, that's real, and you gotta balance that, and a lot of them, again, I'm on the horn for teachers, they do work 2 jobs to maintain and feed a family, and the pick pickings are slimmer and slimmer. They're not going in the field as police officers and firefighters and et cetera. So, thank you again for your service.
Good luck to you.
Real quickly, I didn't mention this at the podium, but, Dan and I had a pretty special relationship. There many a day he'd come in and I'd be stressed out and he'd sit down and before he left out, I'm laughing because, he brought a lightness, sometimes to my job, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dan.
I'd like to say the same thing. Dan and I came into positions at the same time. And so we kind of learned and grew together in our administrative roles. We've had a lot of fun times, a lot of agreements, but there's been a lot of disagreements, but, I can say that he is, one of my true friends, and I'm really proud of him. I'm gonna miss him.
Well, you wanna say anything?
So I don't know Dan very well, I've been just on the city, but, I feel obligated to say something here, so. I wish you the best, Dan, take care of yourself.
Shelley, Denise, any comment?
You guys.
Dan?
Well, I didn't plan to say anything, but, I will just say that, I've been with the city since, 1998, 25 years, and it's been great, and I've really enjoyed my time. I'm just, ready to move on to, cooler skies. So, I do appreciate all the nice work.
But if there's smoke in the sky, you gonna go and fight that fire?
Dan didn't tell you this, but he's in the process of maybe possibly going to work for the Colorado State Police.
Been going through the process since February.
It's an 8-month process, and he's making the cut every time.
Well, he's only 25, so.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, sorry, it's not.
Just in response to District Chief White's presentation, he did come with a lot of information, and there is a lot of, I have a lot of information to respond, but there's so much that I would like the opportunity to go through it, and then I will give y'all comments from administration, and then if y'all have any questions, we can get those answered as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards what my question is. Okay, since they put it out there, like his salary, can I see what it really is? Cause I couldn't tell what it was from that, you know?
Sure.
Okay, all
public
right,
record.
now, this meeting is adjourned.